Real talk. Sometimes I wonder if part of Bang Chi-yook's criteria in forming a team is intellect, depth, and emotional quotient because there's just no way in hell he accidentally stumbled upon seven intellectually and emotionally superior men who are sensitive, pensive, and aware of their own talents and how they can use it for others, appreciative of the opportunities that they have and how they can maximize it, and profoundly cognizant of their own impact, past, present, and future. He might have filtered through the best to find seven boys with superior talent and intellect because no coincidence is this perfect, and we are lucky enough not just to see a glimpse of it, but also to hear them process their thoughts behind their actions and principles. So, Chuita is one such opportunity for them and for us, a place where they know they are going to talk with someone who loves them and cares for them and will be watched by people who will do their best to understand them. Here are 14 myths about BTS members that they debunked in Suchwita.
Hi! So this is the second to the last episode I will be doing on Suchwita, and this one focuses on the members except Suga because the last episode is just going to be about Suga. So this episode is just about things that they revealed in Suchwita. Some of it we already know, some they've mentioned in the past, but a lot of armies don't know about or don't really pay attention to what they're saying. All right, so if you end up liking this video, please give it a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe and hit that notification button so that you don't miss a single episode, and share the video if you can. All right, onto the video.
Jungkook's faith in his bandmate is dizzying sometimes. There was a moment when Suga said that if they didn't go through the things that they went through in the beginning of their career, they probably would have not succeeded. Jungkook ever so slightly shook his head and casually said, "It's us, Jung. We would have found a way." And while I agree with Suga, I also agree with Jungkook. But the realization still made me dizzy. Armies are very proud of how BTS survived all the trials they went through, that it's hard to imagine the journey any other way. But it is Jungkook of all people, the maknae, that had to remind me that the path doesn't matter. The circumstances doesn't matter, regardless of the card they are dealt with, for as long as the seven of them are together, they would have succeeded. They would have created their own destiny. It's them. They would have found a way. Do you hear the faith, army? Jimin's creative journey is out of ordinary artist's league. Blame those crescent smiles and caring demeanor for the enduring perception that Jimin is creatively inferior. In Suchwita, Jimin casually described the foundation of his journey, and it starts with something out of anyone's reach, his own story. But instead of simply describing his emotion in songs, he fused the empty slots of his emotion and cognition, forming an art that appeals to everyone's primal musical instinct, but challenges those who tend to understand music apart from feeling it. And it is beyond impressive. It's actually thrilling, knowing he is barely scraping the surface of his artistry and he has already created masterpieces. He is not just creating a different path, he is actually creating an entirely new creative world, and only those who are chosen will know how to get there. Do you have an open verse? When Suga asked RM about coming back to unfinished songs, RM said it's called an open verse. He gets through it by taking elements of his present to fill in the spaces of his past. He said that for Flower Works, he took a long walk and picked up the elements of the street and added it to the song. It just made me think, which is what usually RM does, that we all have open verses in our lives. Thoughts we never finished, questions we never answered, people we lost contact with, goals we never fulfilled, and things we never tried. And just like RM, shouldn't we go back to those open verses and try to tackle them one by one until we're able to complete the song of our present? Whether you are 20 or 60 or 70, there is no reason for us to not try closing some of our open verses. So, what is yours? What is your open verse, or what are your open verses? And do you want to try and close them? Taeyong is a student of music. Sometimes it's just hard to imagine Taeyong being such a devoted student. He seemed to have been granted all the natural talent of an artist. It's hard to imagine him not being the superior artist that he is now. When V revealed that he actually immersed himself with the music that the rap line recommended when they were still trainees, it was a revelation of some sort. V may have all the natural talent of an artist and an easygoing personality, but he does not take for granted his potential, and he instinctively knows what are the things that he needs to do so that he can fulfill them. RM is not the only one with a snitch.
This one is something light, but I think it's still important. When J-Hope said that he felt very bad about disappointing ARMYs for not releasing a physical version of his album, I realized that RM is not the only one that has a snitch. I think every BTS member has a snitch. J-Hope certainly has one. For him to really know how disappointed ARMYs are, I think someone really told him, or he himself was going through ARMY Twitter and Instagram and all of those stuff. So I hope BTS members are really very sensitive towards what ARMYs feel and what we voice out. So I hope that we use this information I hope that whatever it is that we're going to put out there for them to read or consume, I hope something positive. The same positive message that they're giving to us, I hope we can give it to them. So I hope that ARMYs are going to be more careful in what we put out there.
Only those who are aware of their own imperfection ends up becoming the best. Jimin admitted that, like many of us, he was impatient in his youth. He wanted to achieve perfection and worked his body to exhaustion to achieve that. Many of us saw the fruit of his hard work. There has never been a performance he never Jiminized. From simple head flips to extra pops, he has never failed to leave his mark in anything that he does. But interestingly enough, it wasn't until the world recognized his superiority that he managed to stop and look at his own flaws. So instead of picking up where he left off as a BTS member to start his solo career, he actually decided to just go back to the start line, to work on his basics. It is this kind of drive and dedication that has molded the best of them, from Jordan to Jackson, the relentless pursuit of perfection of their basics that serves to support the frailty of the creative perfection they constantly pursue. Jin wanted to share the good and the bad with ARMYs. Jin later on admitted that the rest of BTS slightly scolded him for mentioning the almost disbandment. Suga, quite surprisingly, asked him why he did so, and the explanation was simple but very touching. Jin explained that they were past that point of their life and their career. They survived the trial, and he simply wanted to be honest with ARMYs. It is no different from us when we feel more comfortable sharing a story of our difficulty once we have moved on. Hearing him explain it from his point of view made me appreciate the value that he puts on ARMYs. The other boys obviously wanted to spare ARMYs of the pain, but Jin wanted to share. He didn't see ARMYs as mere spectators. He sees ARMYs as part of BTS. In fact, ARMY was one of the major reasons they decided to stick it together, and he felt ARMY deserved to know. No one respects BTS's legacy more than BTS. J-Hope made it clear that his first concern when he learned he was going to perform in Lollapalooza alone was BTS's reputation. He had to live up to the success he himself helped lead. It's a welcome difference from other artists who try very much to shake off the name and reputation of their group in an attempt to establish their own solo career. J-Hope embraced it and used it as an inspiration. He knows what he was able to do with BTS, and the challenge was to go farther on his solo venture, not necessarily to forget. And he freaking nailed it. Jin's success hack.
Jin admitting that he's not the kind of person that would initiate something or would take it upon himself to start and complete something is a sign of maturity and intelligence, because he knows enough to confront himself and admit his weakness, and that allowed him to find a way on how he can work around his weakness or improve that. So in this case, his decision to join the group and allow the group to influence his work ethic actually worked on his favor, because we all know, every member has attested that Jin actually practices on his own. He would try to get the moves right even without being egged on by the rest of the members. And so I think it's important for us to do the same thing. If we know we are weak on something or there is something wrong with us, it's better to confront it, and then we either learn how to improve that or find a way on how to work around that. But as always, maturity. That's what you get from Jin.
Jungkook's voice is a league all his own. I knew Jungkook was sick when he performed in the Good Morning America summer show, not because his voice was failing him, but because you can see that it's taking a lot out of him just to move, let alone dance. And yet his sheer skill managed to carry the performance that barely anyone noticed he was struggling. Suga is right. Jungkook's voice has matured and is now so much more refined. Many can sing, but few can sing with such refinement and perfection that it constantly sounds like his voice is booming out of a speaker. And if he decides to continue pursuing his goal of becoming a global pop star, he certainly has more talent and control over his voice than most other pop stars ever had. Taeyong is aware of their greatness. Taeyong has time and again expressed just how aware he is of their impact. I love his spontaneity, but I love it more when he actually talks about what they did to get themselves there. And I have to admit that I was a little surprised when he said that they succeeded because they worked harder than anyone else. Hard work and success don't always come together. BTS managing to get to where they are is a testament that they don't just have the talent and they didn't simply work hard. They also worked smart. RM doesn't try to break free from his past.
I think this part is very important because we're constantly being told that we need to leave the past behind. And so RM saying that they can't escape their past, even though they are now the top dogs, they can't escape the fact that they were once upon a time underdogs. And so instead of escaping from it, he decided to take that and then just use that to hone what he has right now. Especially if your past is something painful or something dark, it's you can't really separate from it. No matter what you do, you can't undo it. So it's better to just take that and use that to improve what you have right now. I remember the words of Princess Leia. I forget the name of the actress. She said that you take your pain and you turn it into art. So if you have something ugly or something painful in the past, you take that and then you make something beautiful out of it. And I hope that's something that we will all learn. Just to address the question that I posted in the title, who are the closest members? I think this series actually showed us the differences in their dynamics. And I would say that each combination, they have their own dynamics, but they're all very close. It's super interesting to see the difference in how he acts and behaves when he is with one member versus the other. I always find his relationship with RM so sweet and so entertaining because you can feel his affection towards RM, but because RM is the leader, there will always be a certain level of respect that he would only afford RM. But you can feel that they're equal. You know that they understand each other's language. You know that they perfectly understand how much they love their craft and how much they love their team. And then it's interesting to see him with Jin because that's his only young, that's his only older brother. But at the same time, because they know each other so well, they lived it, they were sharing the same bedroom. There's a certain bond there, certain body language, certain words, that only the two of them would understand fully. I think J-Hope has always been his equal, and I'm always entertained with his relationship with Jimin. I think they're like the Tom and Jerry. I also do think that they have way more in common than they allow us to see, and I think that's why they jive so well, because they do have enough differences and then they have enough similarities as well. And so it's like there's a lot of bantering there, but also a lot of sweetness, and his affection towards the two other youngest members, V and Jungkook. If you watch closely, you will see some entertaining details. Some details. Okay, let's take out the word entertaining. Some details there that's going to provide you a clue on the kind of dynamics that he has with the other members. That in itself is a topic. If you want me to discuss it, just those are just my observation watching the episodes where he has the members there. All right, I hope you like that. In the next episode, it's just going to be about Suga, and I think that's going to be the last of it, unless you have other requests. Okay. I hope you enjoyed that episode. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and of course, subscribe and hit that notification button so that you know there's a new video getting published. And share the video if you can. Please follow me on Twitter or X, and also on my Patreon. And then for personal projects that I will soon be announcing, it will be on Patreon and Instagram. Thank you. I appreciate you all.